행사 전에 메모리얼데이 퍼레이드 시작 전에 밴드 연주를 준비하고 있습니다.
I know.
I mean, that's what it is.
Actually, that's the parade.
Hotels make between that stage decades. Even strangers in a lobby waking up and leaving town the next day. Loving and wishes for when you're bored on Friday night. When you wanna lose yourself, to be the place to hide from all the family. Loving. He's all crying on the couch in the dark. That sad song is the rhythm. It's crying at your heart break. Loving you always out here, just all alone. Loving you, calling me, picking up his phone. The way you're talking sounds like he's somebody you should hate. I know what love is, girl, but I know what love ain't. I'm afraid to show you what he can. 'Cause he can only show you what love ain't. Love ain't. feel like I was dreaming, but when you started again, my heart started thinking around and even playing with rain, going down last night, you're still around me, you won't be here. Say I wasn't even drunk, so you say too much, but that was just around talking.
Thank you to the Eli Young Band. And now I'd like to introduce the founder and president of the American Veterans Center, a nonprofit educational foundation based in Washington, D.C. The ABC's mission is to guard the legacy and honor the sacrifice of America's service members of all generations. Now, in 2005, the ABC took the lead in reviving the National Memorial Day Parade in our nation's capital. And the parade had last been held 63 years before, in 1942, following the entry of the United States in World War II.
The American Veterans Center produces the Emmy Award-winning Veterans Day special, American Valor, a salute to our heroes, a star-filled tribute to the military heroes from across generations. Please, ladies and gentlemen, welcome the founder and president of the American Veterans Center, James C. Roberts.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Are you enjoying yourselves? Good. A little warm, but a whole lot better than rain. So I can tell you overall, my colleagues and I are, to use the old English word, joyful to be out here on Constitution Avenue after 2 years of silence and inability to salute our troops. So thank you all for braving the heat to come out and join us. The parade will start here in another half hour or so, and we'll get that underway. We really appreciate your being here. Memorial Day always has a tinge of sorrow to it because we're honoring those who paid the ultimate sacrifice and giving their lives. This year, we have an extra element to our sorrow because of the horrible massacre of the children and teachers in Uvalde, Texas. Our hearts are heavy. Because of that, they remain heavy. I would ask you during the 30-minute period when we honor the fallen with a moment of silence to add the victims to your thoughts and their families to your prayers as well. So thank you very much, Mark Kessler and Blanquita Cullum. This is the 10th year that Mark and Blanquita have announced the parade together, and they do a really great job. So let's have a rousing round of applause for our announcers, Mark Kessler and Blanquita Cullum. To Secretary of the Navy, Carlos Del Toro, our other senior reviewing officers, additional senior military officials, of which there are many, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 2022 National Memorial Day Parade. And thank you for joining us as we pay tribute to all those who served our country. In uniform from Valley Forge to Operation Enduring Freedom in Afghanistan. As Lincoln said in his famous words, they gave the last full measure of devotion, laying down their lives in defense of our liberties. Putting on a parade such as this is an enormous undertaking. More than 4,000 people will actually march in the parade, and more than 24 corporations and foundations and 3,000 contributors have put up the several $100,000 required to pay for it. And to all I express my heartfelt thanks. I'd like to give recognition to just a few people who have made special contributions to today's parade effort. First, to the Boeing Corporation, our presenting sponsor. Presenting sponsor of this year's parade. Many members of the Boeing team are with us today. Let's give them a thanks for helping to make this parade possible. Here's the Boeing. I also want to thank all the other sponsors who've been named by Mark and Blanquita, who have also been instrumental in making the parade possible. I'd also like to thank our parade staff. First and foremost, Mike Paradiso, our Executive Vice President of our Parent Foundation. Tim Hobart, the ABC Senior Vice President and Executive Director, who is the impresario of this whole event. His assistant, Wes Smith. My special assistant, Nicole McCann. Dan Taxis, our remarkable new video producer. And to others, if there are any on our staff, because as General Richard Myers said, it's a small staff but a mighty staff. Thanks also to Seth Nichols, our development director. He's had a very important job because without raising funds, we couldn't do this parade. Seth has been working overtime on development and many other activities to make this parade possible. Thank you, Seth Nichols. Thanks also to Cunningham Communications. They did a fantastic job on media relations. There's a great story in the Washington Post. To take the most recent example about today's parade, featuring Colonel James Harvey. We've had great publicity right along. Thank you so much, Kenny. To the three companies who actually scheduled the bands and coordinate the 4,000 people in the parade. To John Wiscombe and his team from Music Celebrations International. To John Best and Annie Woods from John Best to John Best and his team from Best Entertainment, and to Todd Marcochi and Annie Woods from their team, Under the Sun Productions. They really coordinate all the moving parts of this enormous operation, working with the Park Service, the Metropolitan Police, the Metropolitan Fire Department, and to them also our thanks. The Fire Department, for instance, put up this big flag here. They did it on their own as a tribute to our veterans. The Fire Department didn't have to do that, so thank you, Police and Fire Department. And finally, a word about those we honor today. Over 21 million living veterans who have served our country in uniform, and the 1.5 million men and women of our armed forces who have died in the service of our country. There's one other group we honor today, and that is our men and women on active duty. We are honored to have members representing all branches of our armed forces in the parade today. We should be very grateful to these young men and women, many of whom have served in harsh and dangerous conditions far from home, to defend our liberty. We should be very proud of them. I've had the privilege of meeting many of them, and I believe we've never had a finer military in the history of the United States. Thank you all. Our active duty personnel. We have a number of military heroes with us in the parade itself. We have two recipients of the Medal of Honor, Melvin Morris and Ed Byers.
Whatever you guys want.
Melvin Morris from Vietnam, Ed Byers, Afghanistan. And at the beginning of the parade, some 15 World War II veterans will serve as Grand Marshals of the parade, led by Colonel James Harvey. James Harvey, Colonel Harvey was a member of the famed Tuskegee Airmen. You've all heard or seen the new movie Top Gun. Well, you probably didn't know that Colonel Harvey was the very first recipient of the Air Force Top Gun competition way back in 1949. So we've got a real Top Gun recipient here with us. He'll be in the first car in the parade, so please give him and his fellow World War II veterans a rousing round of applause. All right, well, thank you all for being here. I'm moving on now to my capacity as MC to introduce our next speaker, who is the Honorable Robin Chang of TECRO. TECRO is the office that represents the 24 million free people of Taiwan in the United States of America here in Washington, D.C. Rob has served for more than 25 years in international affairs and holds a degree from the National University of Singapore. Please welcome Deputy Director Robin Chang.
There's a latch somewhere.
Well, Chairman Roberts, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. On behalf of the office representing Taiwan in the United States, I would like to extend my sincere gratitude to the ABC for organizing today's event to commemorate the ultimate sacrifice our forebears made so we can live in a free and prosperous society. At a time when authoritarian regimes are, with renewed vigor, attempting to undermine our democratic way of life, today's event is a solemn reminder that freedom is never free. Even as we speak, the Ukrainian people are fighting their rights and their sovereignty. And people of Taiwan know all too well what is at stake in this horrible war. Because we face aggression and intimidation from across the Taiwan Strait on a daily basis. As of today, PLA flew 30 warplanes into Taiwan's ADIZ when Senator Tammy Duckworth arrived in Taiwan for a visit on the same day. So today I call on all like-minded countries to continue to stand up and speak out against all sorts of aggression, not only to safeguard the values we cherish so dearly as citizens of the free world, but also to send an unequivocal message to the aggressors that we are ready and willing to prove to the world once again that democracy can deliver and that liberty and justice shall prevail. Thank you for your invitation. I wish today's event a great success. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Robin, for those strong words. I think you're finding a lot of agreement with what you said. And now, ladies and gentlemen, I wish to introduce another very special guest. His Excellency Salem Al-Jabar Al-Sabah, the Ambassador of the State of Kuwait to the United States. When we began this parade in 2005, Kuwait was one of the first sponsors, and they have been with us ever since. And every year, Ambassador Al-Sabah has been here too, expressing the gratitude of the people of Kuwait to the people of the United States for the liberation of his country. In the early years in particular, the survival of this parade was very, very tenuous from year to year. And I frankly don't know whether we would be here today if it had not been for the steadfast support of the people of Kuwait. So it's my great pleasure to introduce a supporter and a great friend, Ambassador Al Sabah. And delaying the ambassador yet further, because of the great relationship we've had with him, our board of directors has come up with a plaque which I'd like to read to you. It says, a certificate of appreciation. The officers and directors of the American Veterans Center wish to salute His Excellency Salem Abdul Al-Jaber Al-Sabah for his superb diplomatic service during 21 years as Ambassador of the State of Kuwait to the United States of America. We also wish to express our profound gratitude to him for his steadfast and generous support of the National Memorial Day Parade held annually on Constitution Avenue, D.C., to honor the veterans and active duty troops of the U.S. military and to pay tribute to those who laid down their lives in defense of the United States. Under the leadership of Ambassador Al-Sabah, the state of Kuwait has been a steady pillar of support for the National Memorial Day Parade from its inception. The support has been crucial as the parade's survival and growth, especially in the early years. Ambassador Al-Sabah has personified fraternal ties of friendship that bind our two nations, and his steadfast support of the American Veterans Center and the military service of the United States will never be forgotten. Presented May 22nd, 2022 on Constitution Avenue, as signed by me and co-signed by General Richard B. Myers, United States Air Force retired, former chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff and chairman of the American Veterans Center Advisory Board. Mr. Ambassador. Thank you.
Jim, thank you so much. I am honored and really touched by this recognition. We've been part of this parade since 2005 and we're proud to be here again today. So a lot of you in the audience may be thinking, why is the Ambassador of Kuwait here? Why is he talking to us today? Well, for those of you over 40, probably remember why. But for those of you under 40, you probably don't know why. So here's why we're here. So 32 years ago, my country was aggressed and brutally occupied by a larger neighbor. And America sent its finest men and women halfway across the world to liberate a small country, my country, which is the size of New Jersey. And maybe at that time, half of America didn't even know what Kuwait was or where Kuwait is. But America did the right thing. And America stood at that time at the right side of history. So I'm here today to tell you that Kuwait will never forget excuse me, what America did for us 32 years ago. And our gratitude to what you did and your sacrifices to us will always be engraved in our hearts and always be in our minds. And we're teaching our younger generations what America stands for, what America did for us. And I stand in front of you today as an ambassador of a free, independent, and sovereign country because of what you did for us, because of your sacrifice. So we're here to say thank you. We're here to say we will always remember. And Jim, you know, we will always be part of this parade. We've been the proud participants of this parade for the last 15 years. And we will be a proud supporter and participator in this parade as we move forward too. Thank you, Jim. Thank you. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Ambassador. I should add that the ambassador is retiring in a couple of months. This is his last official visit and participation in the parade. But I would say, Mr. Ambassador, after that, we hope that whenever possible, that you will come back and join us in the reviewing stand, because in a larger sense, this is your parade too. Thank you very much. Well, you on this side of the street, I'm not trying to ignore you. I can only finish one way. Thank you so much for coming. We now have what I think you'll find a special treat. For 5 years, the lady that I'm about to introduce was a regular performer on Dean Martin's weekly television variety series, in addition to having been one of the longest running members of Dean's all-female group. She was also the lead singer of a quartet spun off from the Gold Diggers called the Dingling Sisters. The Dingling Sisters, who each week on Dean's show performed their own solo number, took part in comedy sketches, and joined Dean for a medley of standard songs. She also traveled with Bob Hope's USO tours on U.S. military bases, entertaining American armed forces around the world during the height of our country's engagement in Indochina. In the years since, she has continued her career in show business with leading roles in theater productions, recording musical albums, and heading her own concerts. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my honor and pleasure to present to you Michelle Delapay.
My country, 'tis of thee, sweet land of liberty, of thee I sing. Land where our fathers died, land of our pilgrims' pride, from every mountainside, let freedom ring. Let freedom's song of praise and sing from all the trees, sweet freedom's song. Let mortals' tongues awake, let all that breathe partake, and for eternity let freedom reign. For spacious skies, for amber waves of grain, for purple mountain majesties above the fruited plain. America, America, God shed His grace on thee, and crown thy good with brotherhood, from sea to shining sea. Oh, beautiful, for heroes fruit in liberating strife, that warred and safe their country loved, and mercy on that God shed His grace on thee, and crown thy good with brotherhood, from sea to
Thank you very much, Michelle. That was beautiful. One question: what is that liquid that Dean always had in his coffee cup? We'll talk about after. Iced tea. All right. Why don't I find out? Believe it. All right. My next introduction is of a very famous chef, Chef Robert Irvine. At the age of 15, he joined the British Royal Navy and it was during his military service that he began to refine his culinary skills that he's brought to several highly successful Food Network shows. Now a proud American citizen, Chef Robert has become one of the entertainment industry's strongest supporters of our military. He's been named an honorary Chief Petty Officer of the United States Navy, and his nonprofit foundation seeks to support and honor our military heroes. He's a great supporter and sponsor of the parade, and we are honored to introduce a true friend of our armed forces, men and women, Chef Robert Irvine.
How's everybody doing? Yes? What a beautiful day here for a solemn but exciting parade. As a veteran of the British Royal Navy, I'm humbled to stand amongst you all, representing the Robert Irvine Foundation, the Gary Sinise Foundation, the TAPS organization, and everybody that does great things for our men and women that wear the cloth of our nation. Enjoy the parade, but please remember this. Those fallen heroes gave their todays so we could walk our tomorrows. Enjoy the parade, let's never forget.
Thank you very much, Chef, for all you do for us and for our armed forces. Now I'd like to welcome one of the longest supporters of the National Memorial Day Parade, Tony Award-winning actor Joe Mantegna. Joe is co-host of the National Memorial Day concert with Gary Sinise for many years, and both have graciously accepted the parade invitation to participate since its inception. Joe has often stated that, this is a great quote, Memorial Day is our most important holiday because it's the holiday that makes all the others possible. The line has struck a chord with us. He's a beloved friend. Joe's had many family members in the parade. I remember for many years, his Uncle Willie, who was a World War II veteran, rode with him in a Jeep. It was a very special occasion for them and for us. So we're always honored to have him with us, and it's my honor now to introduce Joe Mantegna to the podium.
Thank you very much. Once again, it's a privilege to be here in Washington, D.C. Last night was my 21st year as being part of the Memorial Day concert. I've done just about as many of the parade. And as was said, I certainly have come to that conclusion that today, without question, is the most important holiday we celebrate in this country, without which we would not have any other holidays. So it's a privilege to represent all those who have given, in some instances, their lives, so that we can have the great weekend that we've all celebrated in this country. So, again, it's a privilege. Hope to see you all again next year. God bless America.
Thank you very much, Joe. Our next speaker really needs no introduction. For more than 20 years, I'm giving him one anyway. For more than 20 years, nobody in the entertainment industry has been as tireless a supporter of our veterans and military men and women as Gary Sinise. What started with his legendary role as Lieutenant Dan in Forrest Gump has led to dozens of USO tours, countless visits with our troops, and his own foundation organized in their support. He's been a great supporter of ours, the ABC, of the parade itself, of our activities personnel, our veterans, our military in general. Please welcome a truly great American, Gary Sinise.
Hey, it's good to be back. Fantastic to be on the street. Virtual parades just don't cut it. But they did a terrific job the last couple of years keeping the parade going and obviously keeping the National Memorial Day concert going the past couple of years. But it was wonderful to be back on stage last night with my good pal Joe Mantegna and a tremendous cast. I thought it was a wonderful way to come back. The show was very, very powerful. A show of remembrance, gratitude, appreciation, and something that I think is very important for our nation. Our nation, we can tend to be so divided on so many things, but when we come together around the men and women who serve our country, there is no left and right, there is no up and down. It's all one America. God bless you and God bless America. Thank you very much. Enjoy the parade, everybody.
Thank you, Gary. God bless what you're doing. All right, for our penultimate speaker, I'd like to introduce the Reverend Peter Frank, who is the rector or senior pastor at the Anglican Church of the Epiphany in Chantilly, Virginia, where he has ministered for the last 11 years. While never serving in the military himself, Father Peter comes from a multi-generational military family, including his brother, currently an active duty Army chaplain, his father, who served in the 7th Special Services Group, and both his grandfathers, who spent full careers in the Air Force and Navy, respectively. It's a great personal pleasure, I should add, to introduce him to you because he also happens to be my parish priest. Please welcome Father Peter Frank.
That's true. One orderly passion.
It's my great privilege to speak to God as we begin our parade and to remember before Him all that gave their lives for our nation, and to give thanks, and at the same time ask that we take their sacrifice seriously and carry forward the democracy that they defended. Let's pray. O King and Judge of the nations, we remember before you with grateful hearts the men and women of our armed forces who in the day of decision ventured much for the liberties we now enjoy. Grant that we may not rest until all the peoples of this land share the benefits of true freedom and gladly accept its disciplines. Through Jesus Christ our Lord, who with you and the Holy Spirit lives and reigns now and forever. Amen.
Thank you very much, Peter. And now would you all please stand for the singing of our national anthem, sung by Staff Sergeant Kyle Tomlin, the United States Army Band for Pershing Zone. The national anthem, ladies and gentlemen, please stand.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Very, very, very inspiring. Our last speaker, appropriately, is our senior reviewing officer. He is the Honorable Carlos Del Toro, the 78th Secretary of the Navy. In that capacity, I should mention that the Secretary was born in Cuba, which I'm sure gives him a special view and appreciation for American freedoms and customs. The Secretary has under his command a mere 998,000 sailors, Marines, and civilian personnel. Kind of a large workforce, I guess. So, in any case, Mr. Secretary, we're honored and delighted to have you with us. As the reviewing officer, please come forward and say a few words.
Good afternoon, Washington, D.C. My name's Carlos Del Toro, and I am so proud to be your Secretary of the Navy. On behalf of the President of the United States and the Secretary of Defense, I welcome you all to the National Memorial Day Parade. All right. I want to first begin by thanking the American Veterans Center, all military and civilian leaders, all of our allies and our partners, and all who are watching from across the nation and watching from across the globe. Thank you for your support of our military. As you may know, this week marks the 80th anniversary of the Battle of Midway, when the fate of the Pacific and our country rested on the shoulders of the United States sailors and Marines. Through grit, ingenuity, skill, they handed our adversary the first major defeat of the war and set the stage for the long struggle ahead. Like every other sailor, Marine, soldier, and Coast Guardman who fought in World War II, the veterans of Midway met the moment and they changed the world. They made it clear that the United States will never sacrifice our beloved principles, and they sent a clear signal to authoritarian states everywhere that we will never, never back down. Just like those brave souls, generation after generations of Americans have risen to carry freedom's torch over the past 8 decades. They rose to defend freedom in Korea, Vietnam, the Cold War, Desert Storm, Iraq, Afghanistan, and many other conflicts. Today we remember them all, and we honor their memory of those who never returned. The opportunities we have today were paid for by the blood and the sacrifice of those warriors. We can never forget them. We can never forget their families. They answered their nation's call. They placed themselves in harm's way, and they fulfilled their oath to the fullest extent. We will carry their legacy forever in the United States Armed Forces, and we will always stand ready alongside our allies and our partners to defend the peace and security that forged through generations of service and sacrifice. So on behalf of a grateful nation, I thank all who have served and all who continue that sacred mission today. May God bless the memory of all who have fallen. May God look after the families they left behind. And may God forever bless the United States of America. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Secretary. You honored us with your presence, and we're so happy to have you here. That concludes our program, ladies and gentlemen, and I believe we're ready to begin. So without further ado, let the 2022 National Memorial Day Parade get underway. Enjoy the parade.
I think those are all volunteers, and I'll see if that happens. And so as a volunteer, they bring them up and they get to stay there for quite a while. So take that. That was my
Constitution Avenue in the nation's capital, Washington, D.C. Welcome to the 2022 National Memorial Day Parade and the 250 Voice Memorial Day Festival Chorus.
from our nation's capital, I'm Mark Kessler, and for the first time since 2019, the National Memorial Day Parade returns right here to Constitution Avenue in Washington, D.C. The American Veterans Center presents the nation's largest Memorial Day Parade, and it's a salute to the men and women who have sacrificed for our country.
And I'm Blanquita Cohen. We welcome all of you, and thank you for joining us today for a very, very special welcome to our service members. We honor them all around the country on the Armed Forces American Forces Network. And a very special thank you to the National Memorial Day Festival Chorus, as well as the band members who will be marching on the parade today for that wonderful, open, patriotic performance.
Now, from the American Revolution to the current generation that has served in Iraq and Afghanistan, today's parade honors those Americans who served and sacrificed throughout our country's history. And now, it's time to have a parade.
I think we've got a lot of excitement out there, Mr. Kessler. In keeping with tradition, members of the Metropolitan Police Department, including an honor guard, are making their way down Constitution Avenue, signaling the official kickoff of the parade.
No, you're fine. Probably. You might be on national TV right now. Whole world's watching.
It takes a lot of volunteers to put on this parade, and a special thanks goes out to the Young Marines, the Civil Air Patrol Cadets, and hundreds of volunteers who are participating in today's event. Now, the Young Marines is a national nonprofit youth education program for boys and girls ages 8 through high school graduation. Now, this program focuses on teaching the values of leadership, teamwork, and self-discipline, so its members can live and promote a healthy, drug-free lifestyle. And we just want to thank the many chapters that are participating in the parade today.
Now from Arizona, here are matching bands of wonderful marching bands from Higley High School and Williams Field High School. They represent the Higley Unified School District, which is comprised of 16 schools.
Performing the patriotic salutes, the Higley Knights and the Williams Field Black Hawk Regiment Band are proud to play today in honor of those who have made the ultimate sacrifice for our country.
again.
The rider horse leads this parade annually. It's a reminder of the true meaning of Memorial Day, honoring our fallen heroes. The commander of troops for today's parade, Lieutenant Colonel Michael Thompson, leading the joint staff consisting of representatives from each service. Wow.
Being provided by the United States Army's Bridging Zone ceremonial band. Bridging Zone is never born with under the order of Joint Force Headquarters National Capital Region Military District of Washington, here are platoons from the United States Army, Marines, Navy, Air Force, and Coast Guard. From the founding of the U.S. Army in 1775, America's servicemen and women have stood ready to meet every challenge.
And next in formation, Honor Guard Company, 3rd Infantry Regiment, representing the United States Army. Commanded by 1st Lieutenant John Keeley and led by Sergeant First Class Andrew J.
Next in formation, Marine Barracks, Washington, representing the United States Marine Corps, Semper Fi, commanded by 1st Lieutenant John Clay and led by Staff Sergeant M. Andrew Vandenbush.
Now, since the days of the American Revolution, the colors have been one of the most important elements in a military unit. At the center of today's formation, and bearing the national colors, is the Armed Forces Color Guard, led by Sergeant Nicholas Ferris and Command Sergeant Major Dennis Kirk. Formation and dressed in the Continental Musicians uniforms, the United States Army Old Guard Marching Drum Corps. The corps is led by Drum Major John Price.
Next we welcome the United States Park Police Force Mounted Unit. The Mounted Patrol Unit was founded in 1934 and is one of the oldest mounted patrol units in the United States.
A special thank you to Military Times for being part of the National Memorial Day Parade. Now this 50-foot-long Stars and Stripes is being carried by the Civil Air Patrol with their Honor Guard leading the way.
You can cheer. Go crazy. It's our flag. All the way from South Dakota, here comes the Harrisburg High School Marching Band. The Harrisburg School District is the fastest growing in the region, and this band is part of a comprehensive high school music program that serves over 300 students. With many accolades and honors, the band plays across the nation, including cities like Chicago, St. Louis, and Dallas. Let's take a listen.
who was his school's valedictorian and student body president. He requested to enlist in the Army and was rejected. He did not need to ask why.
However, he persevered and shortly thereafter became part of the famed Tuskegee Airmen. Now, Germany surrendered before he could actually join the front lines, but he served as the first black combat pilot to fly missions in the Korean War. After 126 missions and winning the first Top Gun competition, Lieutenant James H. Harvey was a great pilot, but one of history's best.
Top Gun!
And now, we are honored to welcome the heroes of World War II.
Among the heroes of World War II with us today are veterans of D-Day, appearing in honor of their fallen comrades 78 years ago. Now joining them is longtime friend of the parade, actor Joe Mantegna. And Joe has joined the National Memorial Day Parade each year from the very beginning, so thank you for being with us, Joe.
We love him. More than 156,000 Allied troops from the United States, Britain, and Canada landed in Normandy on June 6, 1944. An estimated 4,000 plus lost their lives and made that ultimate sacrifice. Their participation today is made possible from the support of the Gary Sinise Foundation, established under the philanthropic direction of a fierce and long-standing advocate for our nation's defender, the much-beloved actor Gary Sinise. The foundation serves our nation by honoring our defenders, veterans, first responders, their families, and those in need.
And here comes the Frank W. Ballou Majestic Marching Knights from Washington, D.C. An award-winning band with heart and soul that uses musicianship, hard work, discipline, and compassion to overcome all obstacles. The band's under the direction of Darrell Watson, a former alumnus of Ballou High School.
They've always performed in numerous parades across the country, including Tournament of Roses, the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade, and the National Cherry Blossom Parade. And we are proud to say they have appeared at the National Memorial Day Parade for more than a decade. Please welcome this great band.
잠시 퍼레이드 엔진이 인터벌이 길어지고 있습니다.
Please welcome Gregory Boyka and his 1942 Jeep. His uncle, Colonel Walter P. Blettley, played a large part in leading him to a career in the Army and as an engineer. He developed an affinity for restoring old vehicles in high school, and a special interest to him were Jeeps. The restoration of the Jeep began in 2014 using a picture of his uncle the day that the Germans surrendered was the basis for the finished product. All the rust was repaired, the engine and transmission rebuilt, sheet metal corrected, and in general everything brought back into its wonderful condition. Now we welcome, known as the Pride of Pennsylvania, the Franklin High School Black Knight Marching Band.
They played for presidents and in parades across the nation. Let's take a listen. They honor the families of our fallen heroes. Each child and surviving spouse you see represent a military service member who's no longer with us. And today, we remember their sacrifices.
At the Gary Sinise Foundation, they not only honor the families of our fallen, they help the nation's most severely wounded members. They support our World War II and Vietnam veterans, provide for first responders, and so much more. They are positively impacting the lives of others who serve in defense of freedom every day. Learn more about their impact and follow them to support. Visit GarySineseFoundation.org. The 2022 National Memorial Day Parade presented by Boeing is brought to you by U-Haul, Veterans United Homeland, Alpha Prime, and by the American Veterans Center. Join our mission at AmericanVeteransCenter.org.
No, now that I saw that coaster, I'll never forget how it's
The Everett High School Crimson Tide Marching Band hails from Everett, Massachusetts, a small city just across the Mystic River from Boston. And despite being only 2 square miles on the map, Everett is home to a richly diverse melting pot of people, pride, and personality. And these band members, they represent families from Brazil, Nepal, Vietnam, Haiti, countries across northern Africa, and every corner of Central America.
The Crimson Tide were honored to perform in Hawaii at the 80th commemorative anniversary of the attack of Pearl Harbor this past December 2021. Their award-winning percussion ensemble just competed at the Winter Guard International World Championships in Dayton, Ohio. This is the 5th time a band from Everett High School has performed in the National Memorial Day Parade. Enjoy the performance.
We thank American Airlines for sponsorship of today's parade. The 2022 National Memorial Day Parade, presented by Boeing, is brought to you by AmVets, Home for Veterans, Military Times, and the State of Qatar, and by American Airlines. official airline of the National Memorial Day Parade.
From California and founded in 1939, here is Newport Harbor High School's Marching Sailor Regiment, overlooking the gorgeous Pacific. This school's band is performed at Disneyland and the Tournament of Roses Parade.
And we wish to thank our Congresswoman, Michelle Steele, for the honor of marching in the nation's capital today. They thank their principal and all the parents for their tireless support. All right, let's have a listen. We're honored to introduce our next song, featuring family members who have lost loved ones who served in the armed forces.
The Tragedy Assistance Program for Survivors provides hope, help, and healing to all those grieving the death of a service member.
Now, the families you see walking in the parade represent over 100,000 members of the TAPS family. They're in Washington to participate in the TAPS 28th Annual National Military Survivor Seminar and Good Grief Camp for Children. Now, these families of the fallen are honoring their heroes by carrying their photos with them as they walk the parade route and represent the true spirit of Memorial Day.
Also riding on the TAPS float is Chef Robert Irvine, that great veteran of the British Royal Navy and a tireless supporter of our military and first responders. We want to thank the chef and the Robert Irvine Foundation for providing funding for transportation and a yummy lunch for many of the active duty service members here today. Thank you, Chef.
The scenery's not bad here. In front of us, you're looking at our beautiful National Archives building and museum right on Constitution Avenue.
In the rotunda of the building, for all to see, are our country's charters of freedom, the foundational documents of our great nation. There you can see the original Declaration of Independence, the Constitution, and the Bill of Rights. So much history in that building, and the staff is also in charge of preserving present-day records that will become history one day. I love that great fife and drums of Yorktown. They formed in Yorktown, Virginia in 1975.
A special thank you to Home for Veterans for being a part of today's parade.
Generation after generation of Americans have been inspired by the story of George Washington's leadership through the War of Independence more than 230 years ago. Let's rewind time for this visit from the Commander-in-Chief of the Continental Army and our first President, General George Washington. He traveled 16 miles up from the road from his home at Mount Vernon, and joining him, sitting right by him, riding down Constitution Avenue, is Martha Washington, the First Lady.
President Washington is joining us today thanks to the support of Homes for Veterans. Homes for Veterans exists to provide barrier-free renovations to disabled veteran homeowners at no cost to the veterans or their families. And we also thank Harmon Carriages for participating in today's parade. A big thank you to the American Military University for being a part of National Memorial Day Parade.
With 13 stars representing the 13 original colonies, here is a replica of the original American flag that legend says Betsy Ross created in Philadelphia during the Revolutionary War.
Well, legend also has it that several members from the Continental Congress, including George Washington, asked Betsy Ross to sew the first American flag back in 1776, and it's been carried by the veterans of our armed services.
Founded on July 4th, 1876, on the 100th year of our country's freedom, the Sons of the American Revolution is one of the oldest patriotic organizations in the United States.
Now, each of its more 36,000 members is a descendant of at least one patriot of the American Revolution. And for those Americans with grandparents born in the U.S., it's estimated that 60% of them can trace their ancestry to a patriot of the Revolution and join the sons or daughters of the American Revolution. Well, here comes the Centralia High School Marching Panthers, all the way from Centralia, Missouri. Population 4,213. Now over 50 of them are here today, appearing for the first time in our parade. And let's take a listen. These guys. Got it. And drums. Formed in Yorktown, Virginia in 1975 for the 1976 American Bicentennial Celebration.
Today, the coalition to salute America's heroes. Thank you for being a part of today's parade.
Now the flag you see coming down the street is a replica of the famous Bennington flag, evoking the spirit of '76, being carried by Amazon veteran employees. Now the actual relic flag is on display in Bennington, Vermont. The flag measures 15 by 20 feet and is among the most distinctive flags of the Revolutionary period.
It has 13 white and red stripes and an arch of 11 six-pointed stars, with 2 additional stars in the upper corners. Within the arch is the number 76, referring to the year that the Declaration of Independence was adopted.
So glad they could make it here from Arizona. Here it is, the Peoria High School Panther Pride Marching Band. The ensemble is comprised of 40 wind players, 9 percussionists, and 7 color guard members. Drum Major Aiden Rodriguez leads them down the street as they celebrate their 100th anniversary this year.
Of Waynesboro, Virginia. I think it's looking shagalicious, baby.
The parade continues as we remember the War of 1812.
Let's welcome the Marching Eagle Regiment from Douglasburg Senior High School in Fayetteville, North Carolina. Under the direction of Dominic Hunter, this is the regiment's first appearance in our nation's capital since their transition to a high-stepping show-style band that they are today, and let's enjoy them. The National Memorial Day Parade for 2022, presented by Boeing, is also brought to you by the Idaho Potato Truck, UNO, TAX, and the State of Parade. Leading the Star-Spangled Banner down the parade route is the 7th President of the United States, Andrew Jackson. Long before becoming President, General Jackson had a decisive victory in the Battle of New Orleans, driving the British from Louisiana. He's portrayed by Tim Malone. Wave and say hi to our 7th President.
And thank you to DSS Incorporated for being a part of today's parade. General Jackson, accompanied by an oversized replica Star-Spangled Banner, brought to you by DSS Incorporated, just after dawn, September 14, 1814. The attacking British saw the American flag still flying over Fort McHenry in Baltimore.
The sight of the flag signaled that their attack had failed and that the Americans had won the battle. The flag is being carried by members of the Grant Thornton Public Sector.
Joining us from Indiana, the East Central Marching Trojans. East Central High School Performing Arts represents 25% of the overall student body of the high school. Now, with many of the accolades and awards under their belts, let's take a moment to listen to these artists. parents here today has been Maxwell by Sunbelt Rentals. Portraying him today is Don Mullen. The Sons of Union Veterans of the Civil War was formed in 1881 to carry on the traditions and memories of the Grand Army of the Republic, a fraternal organization of the United States soldiers and sailors who fought in the Civil War to preserve the Union. The Daughters of Union Veterans of the Civil War were organized in 1885, and this marks the 157th anniversary of the Grand Review, the two-day march of the Army of the Potomac and the Army of the Tennessee returning from war. The armies marched this very avenue in Washington, D.C. in 1865. The Sons and Daughters of Union Veterans of the Civil War are the oldest congressionally chartered heritage groups in the U.S.
General John A. Logan, their commander-in-chief, started Decoration Day on May 30th, 1868. To honor those who gave their lives to preserve the Union in the Civil War. We now call it Memorial Day. In 1971, it was declared a national holiday by an act of Congress.
And now, here are the female reenactors of distinction, known as Freed, honoring America's women enslaved and free of the Civil War era, who enforced the quality of life that each one of us enjoys today. They are from the African American Civil War Museum right here in D.C.
Freed brings American history to life by highlighting major contributions to educational, medical, artistic, and social aspects. The ladies made to honor this great nation, most of them are not known. For that reason, these women are out there marching today for you to remember them and honor them. This float is from the National Medal of Honor Museum in Arlington, Texas, and is brought to us by American Airlines. The museum is the only national institution dedicated to the stories, impact, and legacy of the service members who went on to become Medal of Honor recipients.
And riding the float are Medal of Honor recipients, Sergeant First Class Melvin Morris, Command Master Chief Petty Officer Edwin C. Byers, Jr., along with the President and CEO of the museum, retired NASA astronaut and U.S. Navy SEAL veteran Captain Chris Cassidy. We thank all of you for your remarkable service in upholding the ideals of liberty, justice, and equality.
And you get to cheer them on the parade route, you know. From Charlestown, West Virginia, here are the Washington High School Marching Patriots. This is their first appearance in the National Memorial Day, and they are thrilled to be representing the Mountain State today, and we are thrilled to have them. Love these bands. Making their first appearance in our parade from Sandy Hook, Connecticut. Here is the Newtown High School Band and Guard. Let's take a listen to this great award-winning band. Here they come.
down the parade route now is the George Washington chapter of the Model A Ford Club of America. Of the 5 million Model A Fords built between 1928 and 1931, over 100,000 still travel the highways and byways of the world.
I want to hear some of those Ooga horns.
There you go.
I love it. Ooga. Honk if you love America. There you go. Hailing from the bluegrass state of Kentucky, here is a North Laurel High School marching band making their first appearance in our parade. The band is terrific. They consistently earn distinguished ratings through success on the field and in the concert hall. Let's hear what they prepared for you today. Here it comes.
University, Sunbelt Rentals, Veterans United Home Loans, and by the American Veterans Center. Join our mission at AmericanVeteransCenter.org.
Before becoming president, Teddy Roosevelt came to claim by leading the famed Rough Riders during the Spanish-American War. He was posthumously awarded the Medal of Honor for his legendary charge of San Juan Hill, and is the only president to have received the Medal of Honor. His son, Theodore Roosevelt II, received the Medal of Honor after leading troops ashore on Normandy on D-Day, June 6, 1944.
And portraying the President Theodore Roosevelt in the parade is Michael Levick.
Don't hesitate to say, bully, bully.
The next one, with a theme of service from the heart, is brought to us by the Lions Clubs of Washington, D.C., Delaware, Maryland, and Virginia. Lions Clubs International is the world's largest service club organization with 1.4 million members in over 200 countries or geographic regions.
Riding the Lions float, marching alongside are Lions veterans recognized by their red, white, and blue sashes. Marching with them are members of over 150 Lions Club. Some are carrying banners that denote both the name of the club and the community they serve. The Lions work focuses on working with the blind, visually impaired, hunger and disaster relief, environmental and youth programs, so much more. Their fitting motto is, where there's a need, there's a lion. Thank you to the Lions Club for their sponsorship in today's parade. From the great Lone Star State of Texas, My home state, I might add. Coming up pretty soon. Well, you know how these Texans are. New Tech Tiger Regiment Band. They're just 10 miles from Austin, the state capital. Man, New Technology High School Band just launched in 2019. They're growing so fast. They earned their first sweepstakes in 2021 with band members now advancing to the Texas All-State Band. They want to strive to produce a love for music, people, and create a safe atmosphere for scholars to feel empowered and accepted. Students participate in events and programs that strengthen the bond among themselves. As we say, y'all come back here and see you next year. The D.C. Fire and EMS Department is proud to be back in the National Memorial Day Parade on Constitution Avenue. We're glad to have you guys. Your nation's capital is well protected by D.C.'s bravest, who work every single day to ensure that the District of Columbia residents and guests are protected and healthy. They provided a lot of support for the parade for so many years, and they are humbled to take this moment to reflect, remember, and honor those who made the ultimate sacrifice in defense of our country.
We thank the state of Qatar for their sponsorship and participation in today's parade. And from Klamath Falls, Oregon, let's welcome the Henley High School Marching Band. Henley High School consistently won the top prizes in the Oregon State Band Championships. And speaking for all of us, they say they're elated to be out in the community again after the COVID schools lockdown. You betcha. Let's listen to their joyful music right now.
Segment of our program and our parade is brought to you by Riders. 1917. The flag is displayed by the family member of a service member lost in military service and is a symbol of the spirit of Memorial Day holiday. The Gold Star flag is being carried by today's Gold Star sponsors. God bless them. Marching down Constitution Avenue is a contingent of soldiers from one of America's long-standing allies. The Army of Australia is coming up. Approximately 50 Australian Army personnel, ranging in rank from corporal to brigadier general, are participating today. And we want to say good on, mates. Good on you.
The 4th of July this year marks the 104th anniversary of Australian and American soldiers first fighting together in northwestern France during the First World War. Sailors, soldiers, Marines, airmen, and women are currently serving together in Afghanistan, Iraq, and Syria, as well as working closely together in numerous locations around the globe.
We always encourage that you support them by giving a nice round of applause. On April 16, 2021, the American flag was raised for the first time over the newly dedicated World War I Memorial in Pershing Park, Washington, D.C. The memorial is dedicated to the 4.7 million Americans who served during the war and the 116,516 who made the ultimate sacrifice. Among the Memorial Day Parade's strongest advocates was the last surviving veteran of the First World War, Frank W. Buckles. He joined the Memorial Day Parade prior to his passing in 2011, and we just loved him. Here come the marching cadets of the Concordia Lutheran High School from Fort Wayne, Indiana. This is their second time participating in the National Memorial Day Parade.
Back home in Indiana, the marching cadets have qualified for marching band state finals for the last 14 years, including state championship in 2013. Now, in addition, their concert programs consistently receive gold ratings at the contests. By the end of World War II, American industry has produced 300,000 airplanes, 100,000 tanks, 90,000 ships, and 44 billion rounds of ammunition. The arsenal of democracy. That won the war that had truly been built by the hands of millions of American women. And we're honored to be joined today by several of these women. Yes, Rosie the Riveters of World War II, riding on a float made possible with support by Boeing. Their mantra, we can do it. Wise words then and now.
I'm putting my arm up in a we can do it sign. Special thank you to the Taipei Economic and Cultural Representative Office and the United States for being a part of today's parade.
And when the National World War II Memorial was dedicated Memorial Day weekend in 2004, the American Veterans Center helped organize a parade in honor of the World War II veterans in attendance.
It was out of that parade that the National Memorial Day Parade grew Leading this salute to our greatest generation are flags representing the 26 allied nations of World War II. The flags are being carried by the Civil Air Patrol and are brought to us by the Taipei Economic and Cultural Representative Office. A special thank you to Music Celebrations International for being part of today's parade. From Newton Grove, North Carolina, here are the Hopton High School Marching Wildcats. Under the direction of Albert Dunn, let's take a listen to their award-winning band.
The industry leader in do-it-yourself moving and storage. U-Haul was founded by a World War II Navy veteran and his wife in 1945. U-Haul and its 30,000 plus team members continue to honor our veterans and pay homage to the brave souls who have given everything for our way of life.
The Memorial Day has added significance thanks to U-Haul and its efforts to preserve the memory of our fallen heroes. A generous donation from the Schoen family of U-Haul has helped to renovate the Ford Island Control Tower at Pearl Harbor. This includes the addition of a new elevator to take the visitors to the top for a panoramic view of America's first World War II aviation battlefield. The control tower is open to the public this Memorial Day weekend in Hawaii. And a special thank you to U-Haul for being a part of today's parade. Riding on the next float are several living American treasures from the greatest generation, surviving veterans of World War II, D-Day, and the Battle of the Bulge in the Pacific. These heroes are true witnesses to American history, and let them know that they are welcome and honored in the parade.
16 million Americans served in World War II, and more than 400,000 died, making it truly the defining moment of the 20th century. And we salute these remarkable Americans.
In 2010, the U.S. Congress voted unanimously for a Spirit of 45 Day, a national day that honors the achievements and values of men and women of the World War II generation.
Keep the Spirit of 45 alive, a national nonprofit coalition whose mission is to promote awareness and participation in Spirit of 45 Day, so that example of our greatest generation will continue to inspire future generations of Americans, especially the youth of our nation.
Members of the Praise Alive High School Choir from the Green Acres Baptist Church in Tyler, Texas, the Rose capital of Texas, will be joining us today to play tribute to the sacrifices made by those World War II generation heroes, and they are carrying photos of the heroes of the war.
The 2022 National Memorial Day Parade, presented by Boeing, is brought to you by AmVets, Lions Club International Service from the Heart, and by Coalition to Salute of American Heroes. National Moment of Remembrance, established by Congress, asks all Americans, wherever they are at this time, to pause in an act of national unity.
Right now, the National Memorial Day Parade will participate in that moment, coming to a complete stop while taps will be played in honor of all of those who have sacrificed their lives. Wherever you are, we ask that you please stop to join us in this moment. The national remembrance to honor those who have paid the most incredible price with their lives.
It is no more off. No more off. Oh, stay there.
Sure. Really pay attention, so I don't know.
No.
Lock your camera. That's.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now am found. Was blind, but now I see.
That beautiful rendition of Taps was played by Staff Sergeant Craig Bassovich of the U.S. Army Band Pershing's Own.
And singing American Grace, Amazing Grace, was Staff Sergeant Kyle Tomlin.
We will never forget. Established in 1982, the ROC Veterans Association of Greater Washington, D.C. is one of the biggest Chinese community organizations in the area. With more than 300 members, all of them are veterans of the Republic of China, Taiwan, including many of the high-ranking generals who joined the U.S. forces in World War II to fight against Japan and Asia. In past years, the association has actively participated in many activities with their friends and U.S. veteran groups, to promote the mainstream events in the Chinese community.
And now here are members of the World War II's Airmen's Preservation Society. They can be seen at Air Corps reunions, air shows, and military history events, dressed in World War II period uniforms, recreating the lives of the men and women who lived and fought in the Army Air Corps during the war, living through its motto, to honor, preserve, and remember. They honor those men and women who during the war preserved the memorabilia of the World War II era and the memories of those who lived it. And they remember the lessons learned during the war so they'll not be forgotten.
Thank you to Lighthouse for being one of the parade's partners. From the Magnolia State of Mississippi, here is the Pennell High School Marching Band. The four-time state champions participated in the 2008 presidential inauguration parade. Let's listen to proud Pennells from the Magnolia State. Good. Is a 30-foot Air Force flag featuring the Air Force's coat of arms, the Air Force seal, 13 stars, representing the original 13 stars.
2022 also marks the 80th anniversary of one of the legendary missions in American history, when aviators from the forerunner of the Air Force, the United States Army Air Forces, conducted the legendary Dulanore. On April 18, 1942, 80 men aboard 16 B-25 bombers launched from the deck of the USS Hornet deep in the Pacific to attack military targets on mainland Japan. Jimmy Doolittle's raid was the first attack on Japan, following Pearl Harbor 4 months earlier, and it rallied the entire nation. Parade volunteers carry this banner to remember those we lost in the Korean War.
The 2022 National Memorial Day Parade, presented by Boeing, is also brought to you by Military Times, Veteran United Home Loans, and by the state of Kuwait. The upcoming segment of our parade is brought to you by Amdex.
Now here's a horse that represents Sergeant Reckless, America's greatest war horse and a Korean War hero. She's wearing a blanket like the one by Sergeant Reckless when she arrived back home in America in 1954, complete with her ribbons. She's led by retired Lieutenant Colonel James Schaefer.
Following in the Jeep are two Korean War Our next load is from the Veterans in Defense of Liberty, a national brotherhood of veterans energetically bound by their lifelong oath to support and defend our Constitution.
This year's float honors the brothers and sisters from the Revolutionary War to the present, who sacrificed their lives to preserve our God-given rights and liberty. And we thank Veterans in Liberty for being part of this National Memorial Day Parade.
It's often called and referred to as the Forgotten War. We're talking about the Korean War, which was one of the deadliest conflicts in American history, with more than 128,000 casualties. December 2022, a new wall of remembrance will be dedicated to the Korean War Memorial on the National Wall, including the names of 43,000 service members who were killed in the war.
Today, these Korean War veterans march with their heads held high, and it's no longer called the Forgotten War, but now it's called the Forgotten Victory. And joining the Korean War veterans are Korean American veterans who fought for the Republic of Korea, but since the end of the war, have moved to the U.S. and have become citizens. The alliance between the U.S. and the Republic of Korea is one of our country's strongest.
And they're looking great. We understand we have a very important person with us today, Mark Kessler. Do you want to share who that is?
Well, Jim Roberts just stopped by the booth to let us know that Oksana Markarova, who is the Ukrainian ambassador, and Boris Kremenetsky, the defense attaché from Ukraine, have joined us today for our National Memorial Day.
And we honor them and thank them. And following up, we've got the Belgian Pride Marching Band coming up in just a moment.
이창년!
And guess what? Here they are, the Belgian Pirate Pride Marching Band from the state of Missouri, the Showy State. They're thrilled to be marching today as the Belgian community is celebrating its centennial. Its motto is Proud Past, Bright Future. The marching band remembers the impact of Richard Gebauer Air Force Base, which defined the city for 50 years. Band members are wearing memorial ties to pay tribute to family, friends, and citizens who have sacrificed for our country.
Notables accompanying the group are President of the Belton School Board, Jerry Miller, City Representatives Mayor Norman Larkey, and Councilman Brett White. The Pirate Pride commemorates the community's 150th birthday and is a reap the pursuit of the unknown sea. American veterans are better known as AMVETS, like BQ just said, and Humana have a strong, long-time partnership partnership to improve the lives of veterans and their families. MVETS is one of the most inclusive congressionally chartered veteran services organizations open to all veterans, including the National Guard and Reserve. Now, no matter when or where, they honorably served our nation. Since 1944, MVETS has been veterans serving veterans.
Oh, I love that noise. In partnership with MVETS and other organizations, Humana's National Veteran Bold Gold effort offers support for Medicare-eligible veteran patients, addressing food insecurity for veterans, loneliness and isolation for veterans, financial strain, housing, transportation, and more.
Oh, you hear that? That's the sound of America. With Humana as a major supporter, MVETS hosts the annual Memorial Day weekend motorcycle demonstration drive, known as Rolling to Remember. And yesterday here in D.C., tens of thousands of motorcycles rode from Washington to raise awareness. The national stage I love it. I absolutely love it.
Make some noise, Yvette.
Like I said, the sound of America.
Love it. Our next book features veterans of the Vietnam War era and, of course, Special Operations Forces. 2.7 million Americans served in Vietnam between 1960 and the end of the Direct U.S. involvement in 1973. More than 58,000 of our heroes did not come home. 61% of those killed were under the age of 25.
Those veterans who did will never grieve the welcome or parades they so richly deserve. And to our Vietnam veterans who may be watching today, thank you for your service and welcome home.
In 1982, when the Vietnam Veteran Memorial was built and dedicated, a promise was made to never forget those who served and sacrificed in the Vietnam War.
And this year marks 40 years since that promise, and the wall has become the symbol for an enduring legacy of healing, remembrance, and education.
Here are members from the Korean Vietnam War Veterans Association of the Greater Washington area. The Korean Military Air Force joined the Vietnam War with American military forces in 1965. Amazing. Give them some love, folks.
Here's the Vietnam Veterans of America, Chapter 958, chartered in 2005. They're a group of seasoned combat veterans, the Vietnam-era veterans, working in harmony for a common cause.
Their mission is clear: to assist disabled and needy veterans, including but not limited to the Vietnam-era veterans and their dependents, and the widows and orphans of deceased veterans. Let's welcome retired Metropolitan Police Department DC officers. Today they drive a restored 1965 Ford custom two-door White House police board car. They ride in remembrance of fallen MPDC officers. We give them a big thank you for their years of service.
For car 54, where are you? From St. Louis, Missouri, let's welcome the Ridnour High School Marching Huskies. Founded in 1867, with roots further back to the 1840s. The Ridnour School District is one of the oldest school districts in the country. Band director, Hadley Hawks, who started in 1993, is only the fourth band director in the school's history. Let's take a listen.
the parade sponsors. From North Carolina.